And good day, fine citizens. I'm Dan Leach. Welcome to the maiden voyage of the NBA Tip-Off Show with yours truly. Definitely super excited to be here, and I know I have big shoes to fill. I'll come strong, work hard, and of course, bust all these guys' balls and bring the passion every day to live up to the amazing bar that Joe set. Before we get into everything, just a little bit about me. Born and raised in Detroit, live, breathe, and eat sports, and of course, gambling since I was in middle school and playing ping pong for $200 a game before the first period bell. And I've been obsessed with the NBA ever since. I was a young kid growing up with the bad boys here in Detroit. Can't wait to have a ton of fun with these characters, give you guys tremendous insight and analysis, and of course, make you a lot of money along the way. And of course, we're here with the great Ski Prophet and Rob Vino. And before we get off to anything, let's start with you, Ski. It's just good to be with you. I hear you're the prophet.
Yeah, man, I gotta live up to that last name now. I gotta make some money. I gotta make some right decisions, and it's good to be back on the show. We've been away for a while. It's good to be with you, Rob. Good to be with you, Dan. Looking forward to getting back, making some money.
Hey, it's going to be a lot of fun. And Rob, I know you're wearing that ridiculous Broncos shirt. My good friend Dave Rieger, he's a big Broncos slap, even though he's lived in Detroit all of his life. Please explain yourself, but also your greatness.
Simply no way to start a new relationship, Dan, by mocking my Broncos shirt. I mean,
Orange Crush.
we have to do better than that. Hey, we're glad to have you here, buddy. And like Ski said, we've been away from this NBA tip-off show for quite some time now. It's a lot of fun for all of us involved, and sort of missed it. A little hollow spot in the day while it was gone, but we're glad we're back. Glad to be with Ski. Glad to have you running the ship here, and just sit back and monitor us, keep us in line. But we'll have a lot of fun doing this.
Oh, I'll try. But, from what I hear, you guys are out of control just like me. So it's going to be a great partnership. Look forward to it, guys. Well, let's get off with what I think is the game of the day. You guys can disagree. There's no problem there. But, Ski, let's start with Boston and Indy. You got this Boston team that's starting to play some really good basketball. I know it opened at Boston -1, and you're seeing 3.5s out there. It should be interesting in Indy. They're obviously playing for playoff positioning, but this Boston team with Jason Tatum has been incredible as of late.
They have, but the thing that I want to look at, I think Kemba Walker. I mean, he's been in and out of the lineup the past 10 games. I want to say he's been in one game, then he's out. And without Kemba Walker, I don't really like Boston. I know Jaylen Brown is not playing. If he somehow leaves this game, I would definitely like Indiana. I like Indiana at home, although they haven't looked so well at home lately. They've only covered 2 out of their last 8. But it's a team that I expect to finish the year strong. And I'm not quite sold on how Boston is playing right now. Indiana's been better offensively, defensively. So I would ride with the Pacers. And I think it'll be more of a lower scoring game. Kemba runs the offense for Boston, and if he's banged up a little, it probably will hurt them. And I think both teams can keep each other in line defensively.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And Rob, you look at this game, you got Boston not playing, as well as Indiana lately. They're 5-5 in their last 10, but they've had some big wins. Indiana, though, they're 8-2 in their last 10. They're at home. This game, means a lot for the 5th seed right now. They're kind of 2 games out of the 4 for Miami right now, and they're a full 3.5 behind Boston. Is it worth taking the Celtics as a kind of moderate favorite on the road tonight?
Yeah, I think, Dan, the line movement towards the Celtics probably has everything to do with Victor Oladipo, which may be probably too much of a movement considering the last I saw on him was questionable. Now, we'll wait for the 5:30 NBA injury report to come and see if he's going to play or not. If he does not play, the first thing I looked into was the guard situation in this particular game, because for the Celtics, you'll have everybody except Jaylen Brown. But for the Indiana side, if you don't have Oladipo, then you don't have Brogdon or Oladipo. You miss the entire starting backcourt, which puts Indiana in a spot where they run with the 2 Holiday brothers, T.J. McConnell, Edmund Sumner, Xavier star, got some run the other day. But the Holiday brothers, guys, just checking into numbers this morning, because they haven't necessarily played a huge role with this team so far this season. But they're both better than 40% from three-point range. They've both been more than adequate doing the job. And Indiana won with these guys on Saturday night. So maybe the backcourt situation, even if Victor Oladipo doesn't play, isn't in that bad a shape going up against Boston. I know the Indiana front court, certainly at the center position with Miles Turner, has a huge advantage over the Celtics. I just don't know if this is a bit of an overreaction to push this thing from 1 to 3.5. Might look Indiana's way. Haven't played it yet. I think the injury information that comes out within the next few minutes or so should be important in this contest, as it is in almost every NBA contest this time of year.
It definitely is. And listen, I was leading Boston early, as you mentioned, obviously the Oladipo situation, and Sabonis is actually probable with the ankle as well. I think you look at this Boston team, this is a big game for them. So for me, it's one of these things where I was leading Boston at like 2, now it's 3.5. If Oladipo doesn't play, I'm definitely on Boston. But as you mentioned, wait for that 5:30 injury report. We'll see, but it should be a pretty solid game. Before we get into what the big games you're looking at are tonight, I wanted to talk to you both about this, and we'll start with you, Ski, when it comes to the coronavirus and how it could affect handicapping, how it could affect the NBA. Because think about this. In Santa Clara County, the Sharks are going to probably play 3 NHL games in front of no fans. We might have this all around the college basketball realm in conference tournaments and even in the NCAA tournament. How would your handicapping change if, let's say, LeBron talked about not playing in front of no fans. He's backtracked on that today. But if there are NBA games in LA and other areas where there are no fans, that creates a lack of home court advantage. Would that change the way you kind of look at things?
Yeah, completely. And you said it already. It takes away the home court advantage. And you kind of I give like 3 points per home court. So I would just think it's a neutral site. And I don't think that people will be so excited to play. I think we'll probably even see maybe more unders. So probably take away home court advantage and probably less points.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a very interesting situation. And when you look at it, Rob, how does it change the way you would look at the board and look at handicapping games?
Boy, it's hard to say, Dan, because you almost have to treat every one of these teams as their own individual entity. It's hard to blanket statement a 30-team league and, predict there'll be more of this or more of that. I'm not really sure. And we did hear from LeBron right away when asked, and he shows no interest in playing in front of fans. Now, if you have your stars with zero interest playing in front of zero fans, I don't know that it'll come to that, but certainly at that point in time, it would make a difference. I think it's interesting that the Ivy League canceled their tournament today, gave Yale the automatic bid into the NCAA tournament. It kind of pisses off a team like Harvard, who in that tournament had a chance to win it and go to the NCAAs. They had beaten Yale twice. So this coronavirus certainly is affecting a lot of things. I'll cross that bridge when I get there, but it's hard for me to blanket statement it right now.
Sure, and listen, when you mentioned LeBron, had come out straight ahead and actually talked about this on my radio show. I think that if there are games with no fans, you play those games. You can't say, I'm not going to play. He kind of backtracked earlier today, but we'll see how that goes going forward. A lot of events are being canceled. Definitely a scary situation. I want to go back to you, Ski, and let's talk about the profit and what game of this 9 NBA game board you are focused on tonight.
There's kind of a lot to like. We have 9 games. One that probably caught my eye the most, I'll go with Phoenix and Portland. I just feel like it seemed kind of too easy to me. I didn't really understand why the total moved down, but both teams are not playing any defense right now. Both teams have been efficient on offense. Ayton, he was that shoot around. I think he's going to play in this one. Both teams that went over 4 of their last 5 games just went over 4 of the last 5 meetings. I don't see how this one stays under the total.
All right, and I'm surprised you didn't go with your Lakers. I mean, LeBron might not play. I figured you'd be all over the LeBron-less Lakers with some value against the hapless Nets tonight. So you got the Lakers shirt on right now, or is that a Chargers shirt?
I'm rocking with my Chargers right now. I love my Lakers all day, every day, but I give them a break every now and then.
Hey, I can't give you a hard time there. Preseason, I had the Bucks and the Clippers, and the Bucks winning the title. The Lakers are by far the best team in the NBA. We'll get to their game in a minute. And by the way, I'm wearing my Vote Barry Sanders shirt 2020. I don't know if you guys remember this. Garth Brooks had a concert in Detroit. He was wearing a Barry Sanders jersey. It said Sanders, and the Garth Brooks fans thought he was talking about Bernie Sanders. So on election day here today, it caused an uproar. I got my Barry 2020 shirt. Rob, when you look at the board for yourself, what is your big game of the night?
Well, let me pile on to what Ski was talking about with Phoenix and Portland for just a second, Dan, because that game, was just played a a couple of nights ago, and I happened to be on the wrong side of that game. I had Portland. Portland still in contention for the 8th spot in the Western Conference, and Damian Lillard back. And I figured, Phoenix shorthanded. It looked like a really good spot, and they got destroyed from start to finish. And as Ski mentioned, there's zero defense being played on either side. That game hits 244. Tonight we sit at 232.5. I am in full agreement with Ski as far as this game probably getting over the number. Portland can't play defense, Stan. It's not that they don't want to. It's that they just don't have the ability to play defense. And Phoenix, the last couple of games, including that, complete and total no-show by the Bucks on Sunday, has come out in the first quarter, I think, in their last 2 and scored 40+. So you're getting a lot of offense out of Phoenix right now. You're going to get offense at home in the Moda Center out of Portland. I think that Ski touched on a pretty solid spot there for those listening or watching us here on YouTube, that over the number would appear to be a pretty good place to head in that game. I'll look one more. Let's go ahead and talk about Dallas and San Antonio, guys, as long as we're talking about teams that dislike defense this season, because San Antonio has got a total disregard for defense at this point in time. I don't know if Popovich just wants to, sit back and watch it. I guess he's to that point in the season, guys, where he's just used to seeing what he's seeing. They've had no interior defense all season long. And what's been worse the last 3 games for this team, or maybe even longer now, I think it's probably 4 or 5 without Aldridge, and maybe the same without Jakob Poeltl at center. But when your top 2, power forward and center, are relegated to the sidelines due to injury, just look at the guys that they're playing. I mean, they might as well be small ball like Houston. In fact, they are small ball at this point in time. So they've got guys that can score. They don't have anybody that can defend. Dallas's injury list is a mile long tonight, but as long as they have Luka, which it looks like he's going to go with the wrist, if they have Luka and Porzingis, the surrounding cast really doesn't matter. Dallas gets there, finds their way to 125 almost on a nightly basis, the most efficient offense in the NBA. So to me, this one looked a little bit low. It's even lower, the total, than the Portland-Phoenix game. This one sits at 227.5, 228. I think for sure this game gets up and over the total as well. And you can probably just go ahead and, at least I have, put San Antonio right into that box where when you see them on the card, you either just immediately place your bet on over or you don't play the game, because this team's been pretty automatic in that sense for the better part of this season.
Yeah, by the way, they don't play a lot of defense right now in San Antonio, but Tim Duncan got a win. First acting win as a head coach. That was pretty sweet.
I thought Becky Hammond got the win.
Oh, well, they should have let Becky Hammond be the person to be the acting head coach that night, but they didn't. Ski, I wanted to quickly go back to you on the Phoenix-Portland game that you just talked about. Any concern there? Obviously, Oubre Jr. Is out for the, indefinitely. With Ayton being questionable with an ankle tonight, does that play any effect to the total for you?
Well, he went through shoot-around, so I think he's going to be good to go. We'll see, like how Rob says with the 2:30 report, if he's actually in. But him going through shoot-around tells me that he's closer to playing than not. So I'll expect him to play, and I'm not really worried about Oubre. I think Booker gets his. I think it's an up-tempo game, and as we said, neither team plays defense. And I did, really quick, want to touch on Rob's game. I agree completely with that over. Dallas, they've been playing towards overs as well, especially on the road. And I have a little angle. It matches with the total as well, but Dallas coming off of a home game on the road. The over is 15-5. So I agree with him there. Fade San Antonio every time they come up now. They haven't covered their last 7 games, so probably Dallas and over.
So is San Antonio on the hell no list that I've been told so much about?
Hey, man, yeah, they've made the cut right about now.
I like it. All right, well, I want to get into my game of the day and see what you guys think about this. We'll start with you, Ski. I look at this Memphis team. They were kind of in the abyss for a minute, but they've won 4 of the last 5. They're in that 8th spot right now. Ja Morant, we know, is the Rookie of the Year. I love Zion Williamson, but it's Ja's Rookie of the Year to win. And this game opened up at 2. They're hosting the Orlando Magic, who are playing better themselves as well. I'm seeing some 2.5s out there. It seems like almost 70% of the public money is on the Grizzlies right now. But here is my trend of the day. Right now, you look at the Grizzlies, 26-6, a team that has won with a day off of rest, and their opponent shot under 40% from the field. Am I being crazy by reading too much into that? Or am I onto something with this Grizzlies team?
You could maybe be onto something there, but
Thanks, Steve.
as you said in the beginning, Memphis been playing well, but Orlando's been playing well too. And me, I'm the kind of guy who caps games. I look at how teams are playing recently,
Sure.
and last 5 games, it tells me that Orlando's been better offensively. It tells me that they have a rebounding advantage, and they're the ones getting the points. So I would take the team getting the points in this matchup.
All right, so Ski is going with the Magic, who are definitely playing much better as of now. What about you, Rob? When you look at this game, I think there's a lot of value in Memphis. I'm going to lay the 2.5 tonight. I think Memphis at home, they play defense great late. I think Ja Morant goes off, and I think it's a high-scoring game, but Memphis gets the job done as they fight for playoff positioning in the Western Conference.
Yeah, I think something you just said there, Dan, is what really catches your eye with Memphis down the stretch here, and that's their improvement on the defensive end. You know, Ski will attest to this. There was a stretch during the season when we were doing these shows where I was almost, in fact, Joe used to kid about it, be automatic Memphis over. At that point in time, Memphis was scoring a ton of points. They weren't playing a ton of defense.
I think that's the trade deadline.
Right. And now you take a look at this team and you see 8-1 under the total in their last 9 games. And you see in the last 6, only one team has shot better than 41% against them. So it's been without their 2 power forwards, 2 guys, which is surprising because no Brandon Clark, no Justin Jackson Jr. It's pretty head scratching to think that they could turn the key and become better on the defensive end. But it's what's happened. For Orlando, you're going to miss Evan Fournier. Now, they've been missing him for a couple of games now. Terrence Ross has stepped in and done a pretty good job picking up that part of the offense. But it shortens Orlando's bench. I think Memphis, Dan, real quick, when I looked at the Portland-Phoenix game this morning, the immediate reaction in that game was to bet Portland because they're fighting for that playoff spot still.
It's a big deal.
Memphis currently holds it. But the difference between Portland and Memphis is the fact that Portland on the horizon doesn't see their bigs coming back. Those guys just aren't coming back. I had thought for a long time that you'd get Nurkic back, that you'd get Rodney Hood back, that you'd get that front line back. And those guys just don't seem to be coming. Whereas for Memphis, their 2 power forwards are coming back in the near future. And I think Memphis is a little bit more confident right now, a little more energized where that playoff spot is concerned. So I think at home, probably a good spot for them here against Orlando. You do have to deal with Aaron Gordon. You do have to deal with Vukovic at center, but I think Memphis is probably the right side.
All right, well, let's talk about another interesting game to me when it comes to this card tonight. And you look at the Golden State Warriors. I know Steph Curry is looked at as questionable right now with that just the illness that has happened over not coronavirus, hopefully, but over the last couple of days. But that they seem, especially the first time when he came back, they just seemed reinvigorated. And right now they are catching 11.5. This line opened at 12.5 at home against the Clippers. We know the Clippers are at another level, but when you look at this game, Ski, is there any value on a kind of a gutsy Golden State team? Of course, Steph Curry's got to play for any kind of value. But when you look at this game, is that enough points at home to make you feel good about it? Small play?
I don't feel comfortable with it. And mostly, for one, you don't know for sure if Steph Curry's going to play. And 2, even if he plays, Clippers could just run away with it. I'll say it 2 ways. I said I look at last 5 games stats. Last 5 games, Clippers top 10, all categories that I look at. Offense, defense, rebounding. They've covered 5 out of their last 7. So Clippers, they could be pissed off and just blow them out of the water. I think if you like Golden State even a little bit, and if you if you think Steph Curry is going to play, I think you bet the over. Both teams have been efficient on offense, and I see Clippers. I don't see Golden State stopping the Clippers at all. And if Steph Curry plays, I think that he'll be able to get his baskets. Clippers, when they're on the road and they face competition, they carry and they step up defensively. Golden State is not competition, so I just see it being points.
No, it's a good point. Hey, listen, Draymond Green, if people don't know, is out with that knee injury. He's downgraded. Excuse me as I die here. Got to drink your water, kids. He's been downgraded to out today with that knee injury. Rob, when you look at this game, do you think there's enough points that you're catching in this? Like, are you with Ski where, this Clippers team is going to be angry? They obviously lost to the Lakers in a huge game in that virtual, obviously, home road game at Staples. Any value to you in this one? Obviously, Curry being the big factor if he plays or not.
Yeah, I think that if I saw any, possible let up in the Clippers, I would. But the fact of the matter is that Denver kept the pressure on them last night. LA hangs on to that 2 spot by only 1 game right now. I think they're 6 games behind the Lakers. The Nuggets are 7.
6.5.
So wins are important to this team at this point in time. The Clippers, not necessarily to chase down the Lakers, but certainly to stay ahead of the Denver Nuggets. So on the Golden State side, they just don't have the bodies to play defense against LA. And I'll tell you what, Dan, in essence, the LA Clippers could probably cover this game in about a 9-minute stretch tonight if they put their mind to defense for 9 minutes. Because I think they could virtually blank, not hold them to 0 points, but you get where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
They could contain Golden State to a minimal amount of points while they break out and open up a huge lead and coast from there. Their bench doesn't, get backdoored because their bench is one of the best in the league. So when you're facing their bench in a blowout situation, you're still probably getting beat if you're Golden State. That first game out against Toronto, you saw a lot of electricity at the arena with Steph on the floor, and they played a great game against Toronto. Still couldn't cover. They wound up losing by 8 in a game where they were getting 8. So for me, I think I'd be on the Lakers. I'd follow Ski here on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, on the Clippers.
Yeah, we Ski's, Ski's Lakers are 9-1 in the last 10 and the best team in the NBA. But that Clipper team, very, very scary. There's a reason I picked the preseason to get to the finals. All right, well, let's get into our best bets for today. Ski, we will start with you. Big, as you mentioned, 9-game card. What are you looking at as your best bet of the day?
I want to go dog shopping. I want to find a dog on this card, and I'm looking.
It's always fun to go dog shopping. Always fun.
I'll go with the easy one. Chicago Bulls shouldn't be laying any points. I don't care who they're playing. So fade the Chicago Bulls. Back the Cleveland Cavaliers. They've been better on offense. They've been better rebounding team. They've been better versus lesser competition. They're 16-12-1. That's 45% when teams are less. And versus the same 45% when teams are less, Chicago's 16-20. So I'll take Cleveland. I'll take my chances grabbing the points versus a Bulls team that should definitely not be laying without Zach LaVine.
No, you're right. Listen, that Cleveland team, I know John Beeline's no longer there. It's Bickerstaff's son. And they Andre Drummond, our stalwart here in Detroit for years, is on their squad now. And they played some decent basketball, so that's not a bad thought. And you're right. The Bulls should definitely never be favored over anybody, except maybe the Pistons right now. When it gets to you, Rob, King of the Vinos, what do you think is the best bet on the card today?
Yeah, Dan, when it gets to this point in the season, you're looking for teams that are basically checked out and teams that are still playing for something. And I'll go to one of these meaningless games where at least one of the sides is checked out for the most part. I mean, they're going to be a lottery pick. The other side probably finds their way into the playoffs. But give me the Knicks in Washington over the 228.5. Now, for Washington, anytime I see Washington come off of a game where the final score was 100-89, immediately the bell goes off in my head to play the over the next game because that's such a mirage.
Right.
It's unbelievable. Now, they played Miami. They lose. They shoot lousy from the floor, 33%, and they only score 89 points. But you cap that off with the fact that the Knicks and Detroit, your Detroit Pistons, played an offensive game the other day that probably reminds you of Pat Riley's Knicks against Alonzo Mourning in the Miami Heat in the late 90s. It was a miserable offensive game. I'm checking the final score. It was 96-84. They only scored 180 points. I bring that up because the Knicks had been 6-1 over the total heading into that game in their last 7. So for me, this is a bounce-back special where points and offense are concerned. Washington, again, keeping with our theme of the day, no regard for defense. The Wizards are right there. They're one of the best. Bradley Beal probably gets 40+. The Knicks get theirs because Washington doesn't want to defend. And I think 228 in a Wizards game, it's almost like legalized stealing. So we'll go with the Knicks and Washington up and over the number.
You know nobody beats the Wiz on an over, obviously. For me, I'm sticking with the Grizzlies. I love that 26-6 trend off a day of rest and a team that shot worse than 35% in the game before. I like the Memphis Golden Grizzlies at home. We talked about the defense late in games. They're laying the 2.5. Against this, definitely a much improved Orlando team. I like the way Orlando's playing. But John Morant and that Memphis team getting the job done, that is my best bet of the day. Well, the maiden voyage, my friends, is in the books. There's obviously going to be a lot of ribbing in the future, but it was a true pleasure to start this off. And once again, I want to say this, because I know a lot of people watching saw Joe Renier host this show for a long time. All I can do is try to live up to that very high bar that he has set. But hopefully we started off in a good light, guys. It was a true honor, my friends.
Great rocking with you. I thought Rob was going on, but great rocking with you, Dan.
Hey!
Look forward to doing it more often.
All right, it's going to be great. We're going to be here, listen, every day, 4 o'clock Eastern, live, 1 Pacific. What is that, 11 p.m. Hawaii time? We got you covered the rest of the way. Gentlemen, it was great. First show in the books. Till next time, believe in the dream. Go vote if you're in Michigan.
Later, guys.
Peace.
Take care.